Montana has a housing crisis. It's every day and it's everywhere. Veterans are living under bridges. Families are turned away from rescue missions and shelters on a daily basis because there's no room. Montana's first responders and our public schools and our hospitals, they're unable to hire the people they need to provide the very services that are so important to Montana because there's no homes for those employees. The lack of housing hurts Montana's business climate. Our economic development is stymied when businesses can't grow because they cannot hire an employee unless there's a home for that employee to buy or rent. Home is where jobs go to sleep at night. If there's not enough homes, businesses can't grow. We have the answer to Montana's housing crisis within our hands. We have federal funds that are available if only Montana would bring some money to the table. The Montana Housing Fund needs your help. Please support the Montana Housing Fund, and you will play a part in solving Montana's housing crisis.
It's been 25 years since I've really had an apartment with walls and windows and doors. My check is $733 a month. My rent is $210, which gives me barely enough to survive on, but I can't afford a house in the housing market here in Helena without the help that I've received.
And so that's one of our huge needs is affordable housing. And then when we talk about affordable housing, quality housing. I mean, they need to be able to afford it, but it needs to be something that they can live within, that it's not just a dump, you know. It needs to be something that honors them. I think part of getting better in life and getting back on your feet is having a home that says, I'm important, I'm worthy, and I can make it.
Right now, anyway, there is a lot of subsidized housing stock out there, but a lot of it's older stuff, and the design is, well, anyway, can definitely be improved on. When people with disabilities or people with chronic health issues are living in them, they need a lot less assistance because it allows them to do a lot more things for themselves independently.
Having a Section 8 voucher apartment, that allowed me to concentrate on my recovery from mental illness, and not having to worry about where I'm going to stay, and I don't have the fear of homelessness.
It's also good to build some accessible housing around places where people can get to. Like here I can go to Albertsons if I want to, Shopko, down that area, down Sanders Street. It's also good, they build these buildings around restaurants, and just don't put it out in the boonies where nobody can get out. I can go to Godfather's Pizza, Taco John's. I'd probably have to live with my mother. And then PCAs would have to come to my mom's house to help me get into the bathtub because I can't get in the bathtub alone. And my mom's aging, and I wouldn't be as independent as I am now. If there wasn't my mom, I'd probably go to a nursing home.
When each woman moves in, the first thing that's on her list of tasks to complete that first week she's here is to sign up for Helena Housing. There's other housing in this community, but it's way too expensive for our women to access. The fair market rental for a studio apartment is around $600 right now. $600 for a woman who's making minimum wage, who has children. That's a little outrageous for her and her kids. So she may need some assistance.
I'm a single mom, and so housing in the area that I was looking for, with me and my 2 children, I can't really afford it without a little bit of assistance. So I've been on a few lists here and there and been at my mom's place back and forth, but had some personal issues with baby daddy and ended up going back to mom's house and lived there for about 7 months and was on waiting lists for Section 8 and talked to all the housing authorities, and I am happy to be where I am at. I've got my kids have their own bedrooms, and we have laundry, and it's a good spot by my mom, and it's nice to have my own spot. That was needed.
I was thinking about another, we oftentimes think of a single-parent mom, but we've had single-parent dads in exactly the same situation. I can think of a man that came here. He actually was in the military and ended up homeless with his 2 children, and came to the mission after living in a park for 3 days. Came to the mission and got back on his feet. It's kind of interesting. He ended up with a job that he was working on an apartment complex, working on construction of redoing an apartment complex. He didn't know at the time that the owner was going to offer that apartment that he worked on as his new home. And he actually is living out of the state now. But it's just amazing to see that happen. And I think a home is one of the key ingredients to having a person be successful.
So one story I would like to share, and I can share this because Lauren has said that I can. One of our graduates, who is now in her own housing with her daughter, moved into YWCA Helena when her daughter was 12, and Lauren had 8 months earlier purchased a van so that she and her daughter would have a place to live. They lived on the streets of Helena for 8 months in a van with a dog and a cat. And if you look at 8 months, for part of that time, it was freezing cold. Lauren didn't have a driver's license. She didn't have insurance on her van. She had a place where she and her little family could live. She would move that van every day so that she wouldn't get ticketed and so she wouldn't get noticed. And when she drove it, she was so fearful that she would be pulled over and ticketed and jailed for not having a driver's license and insurance. But that's what she felt she had to do to keep her and her daughter safe. She reached out to YWCA Helena, and we worked with several other organizations in the community. We got her in, we got her the help that she needed, and she now has a 2-bedroom apartment for her and her daughter. And this part always just makes my heart sing. This part makes my heart sing. Her daughter had never had her own bedroom before. So at 13 or 14, when they finally moved out, her daughter got her very own bedroom.
I know of a local DJ that started out here. He came to town, was out of money, called his mother and said, "Mom, I need some cash." And she says, "Is there a rescue mission?" And he said, "Yeah, there is." And she says, "That's where you need to go." And he ended up here for a little while and went into subsidized housing and got married. And now he's one of our friends that works with us at the radio station. So, I mean, it could happen to anybody, and it happens more than people think. But it's a joy to be able to provide for that need when they need it, and to see them succeed once they do that. So that's why I always have a smile on my
Yeah.
face.
We would say here that we see two keys in people's life. One is that their heart has changed, their life has changed to the point that that they're ready to be in a stable house on their own. And then the second is to have that affordable, stable house. Both of those ingredients are really important. You know, if you're not ready, you move into the house, chances are you're going to end up homeless again. But when you are ready, it's important to have that available to you. Yeah.
Many of the clients who live with us have come from long-term abusive situations. Many of them have no credit history, or if they do have credit history, it's pretty well destroyed. So the challenge of finding affordable housing is significant. We have cases both of single women who have an extremely hard time getting into public housing, and women with a lot of children who also have an extremely high wait time. In our transitional program, our average length of stay is 9 months, but we have had cases of people staying up to 2 years because of the challenge of finding housing. A lot of the people we work with will attempt to find housing if they're ineligible for public housing for any reason, or the wait time is too long. They'll attempt to find whatever housing they can. And we have heard a number of stories of people moving into places where there have been issues of either black mold or bed bugs. And people will endure a lot, but when there's children involved, it can be untenable. So we've had people who've been with us, who've moved out, and then have to come back because the housing they found is so unsafe for themselves and or their kids that they just can't make it. And we have also worked with a lot of people who have ended up living in their cars because the housing they were in was, infested, unsafe. They were living with people who were unsafe. But there is such a shortage of housing in Helena that is affordable, safe, and sustainable for people who are sort of living on the margins and who have issues in their lives, that people will put themselves in some really awful positions because they have no choice. We have 26 rooms. That means we can serve 26 families, 26 women and their children. We ask that the women fill out an application. We meet with them. We make sure that they're ready to move forward. We're not a shelter. I will say right here that Helena desperately needs a shelter for women and children. It's something that can't wait much longer, and the fact that we don't have one puts women in danger. We are not that shelter. We're transitional housing.
Oh, I think there's a great need for it because the waiting list is, like I say, they had here, for right here, they had a waiting list of almost 200 people. And, there's just nothing available. And I know from experience, just going around and trying to find a place that I could afford is almost impossible. So we have a great need, and there are too many low-income seniors that are out there, that would give anything to have a place like this. I was renting down there and it was getting too expensive, and so then I was not working anymore, so I have no idea what I'd have been doing. This was just an answer to my prayers, that's all.
This is a really vital, important class because it teaches you, again, what do you expect during the mortgage process? What do you expect during the closing? What do you do for insurance inspection? It's such a valuable class no matter what your income level is, because you're going to learn. I guarantee you'll learn something you did not know, and it's going to make that process of buying your home so much smoother.
things like that. You know, Great Falls is lower on the income status, and this will really help people, especially with families, to achieve something, you know, that some don't. I mean, we had a 40-year-old in our program all the way till, you know, a 21-year-old. So it's helping everyone. It's not just, you know, the young and things like that. So it's just really building a community, you know, and I think a lot of us, because we are a low income, you know, we're learning responsibility, where a lot of the people in the community don't think that we know. And this program really helps us, you know, have pride. Really show that just because we don't make a lot of money, we can have nice things, and if we work hard, you know, they're ours in the end.
So thank you for listening to these stories about our friends and neighbors. I'd now like to invite you to the Rotunda on January 5th, about 11:30, for a nice chilly lunch. We'll be available then to answer any questions that you might have. Thank you.